Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to Wake Up, Look Up, a podcast where we connect events happening in real time to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Zach Weihrauch. And in today's episode, we're asking the question, where can shame go? It's prompted by something that was in the news this week, a horrific story of a 14-year-old girl from New York City whose father lives in Pakistan and actually asked her to come visit him over the summer, kind of lured her out there. And when she got there, he murdered her along with her uncle. They shot her until she was dead. For social media posts, they said brought shame on their family. This is what's known as an honor killing. And if you're not watching on video, I'm using air quotes because there's not a lot of honor in it. But the idea is if someone brings shame on your family, to reclaim your family's honor, you need to kill that person. More common than you think. There were 588 honor killings in Pakistan last year alone. Pakistan has laws on honor killings, but as you might imagine, the laws don't stop people from doing things. They don't change the cultural norms that lead to the thinking of doing these kinds of things, and there are loopholes. In fact, we're starting to see more and more fathers and male patriarchs of the family from Southeast Asia getting immigrants from America to come back out there to force them into marriage, imprison them, or even kill them because of what they've done. Now, this has prompted, as you might imagine, incredible outrage in Western countries like America, and it should. It should. What happened is barbaric, but the response in America is also interesting. After all, we have long since adopted moral relativism. A moral relativism is the idea that there are no absolutes, that really it doesn't fall on society to say to someone, this is good or this is bad, this is right or this is wrong. We've foregone moral absolutes in a lot of areas, including sexuality, gender, human relationships, and even murder in a lot of instances. For instance, the argument over abortion has shifted from whether the fetus is a person, because medical technology is showing us more and more that that's true. We have American politicians who will argue that a woman should be able to abort a child within days of actual full-term delivery. Well, why wouldn't that be true? We've foregone the idea that human beings are made in the image of God, and if they aren't, then it's really just the strong and the weak, or if you're in Pakistan, the pure and those that bring shame on their family. I'm not saying that what happened is okay, far from it. What I'm saying is it's interesting how Americans are selective in their moral relativism. Kind of feels like the moral categories where Americans want to do what we want to do, we say, we've outgrown moral absolutes. But when someone from another country seeks to impose their own morality in their own culture, that's when we get on the high horse. But the truth is, the West has no better answer to the shame of this man's family or to the sinfulness of social media posts than Pakistan does. Because the truth is, 14-year-olds shouldn't be posting pictures, salacious pictures of themselves on the internet. Now, they shouldn't be killed for it, to be sure, but they shouldn't be doing it in the first place. But of course, the West, in its foregoing of moral absolutes, has no category for saying that. We use words like self-expression, which seem to cover the idea that a girl flaunting her body on the internet at a young age for grown men is somehow okay because it leads to her self-actualization. And of course, where do fathers go in a society that tells them increasingly that their voice isn't needed and that they shouldn't be seeking to restrain the sexuality of their children? Where do they go with that shame? Look at what this guy's doing in Pakistan is awful. Full stop. It's awful. But it's also an attempt to deal with shame and sin. And the only way really to move cultures that are honor and shame cultures off of this kind of thing is to give them a better answer for sin and shame. It isn't to stand off at a distance in America and say, oh, what a bunch of evil and barbaric people, and then shift the conversation to late-term abortions. We don't have a moral leg to stand on. The better answer is the gospel of Jesus Christ, because the gospel will say sin is sin. It doesn't tell this father to sweep it under the rug, but it tells him that the sin that he's so angry about and the shame that he feels ultimately should be nailed to the cross of Jesus Christ. Because on the cross, Jesus becomes the teenager who shows these salacious pictures. On the cross, Jesus becomes the father who failed to teach his daughter better. He becomes the embodiment of our sin, and God's anger and wrath is poured out on him, not on this 14-year-old girl, and not even on the father, but on Jesus. He dies under the weight of that. And 3 days later, when he rises again, he promises both the daughter and the dad a new way forward, that they're both given the righteousness of God, and that the Holy Spirit of God himself will live in them and lead them to something better. Listen, America doesn't have an answer for sin or shame, but Jesus does. That's why the answer to this ultimately isn't imposing sanctions on Pakistan or some kind of Western educational initiative. The answer is to pray for the gospel to go forward, to pray for the mission work that's being done in Pakistan, that it would reach fathers like this with a better answer to sin and shame, and to pray for our own work. Because the truth is, we got to teach our own kids about what they put on the internet, about how they view their bodies, and about where they go for meaning, purpose, and satisfaction. Pakistan doesn't have the answers, neither does America, but Jesus does. So let's go to him. Hey, thanks so much for watching this episode of Wake Up, Look Up. While you're here, take a minute to like and subscribe. Really helps us get the word out. Don't hesitate to leave a review wherever you might find this podcast on an audio level and help spread the word. Hey, while you're here, check out all the other content we have at Christ Community Chapel on YouTube. Some of those videos are popping up on the screen now. Click on one.